Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And today we're talking about Bartók's music for strings, percussion, and Celesta. What an amazing work this is, really is. It's actually a symphony when you get right down to it. It's got 4 movements. One of them is a perfect sonata form. That's the second movement. The only reason it's not called a symphony is because Bartók didn't call things symphonies. He called things concertos. I mean, the Concerto for Orchestra is a symphony too, and 5 movements. I mean, you could make the argument. Anyway, this piece is one of the most structurally rigorous, fascinating pieces of music that anybody ever wrote. It's composed for 2 string orchestras, one on the left and one on the right. Get it? 2 of them. And in the middle, you've got the percussion, which consists of timpani, bass drum, xylophone, a couple of snare drums, one with snares, one without snares, stuff like that. And let's see, a tam-tam, and there's some other things in there as well. And then you've got a piano and a celesta in the middle. And so you've got this sort of left-right spread. Half the time on recordings, you don't really hear that, because that's either not the way the orchestra is arranged or because it isn't quite recorded in a way so as to emphasize that division of forces. But you really should, because there's a lot of back and forth between the string orchestras, call and answer and whatnot, and swapping of phrases and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. The first movement is a spooky, ghostly, really terrifying fugue based on a chromatic theme. Do 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 like that. Opens up a very narrow range, and it's based on a Fibonacci series. Yes, a Fibonacci series. The number of bars of each phrase is the sum of the 2 prior. So a Fibonacci series goes like, how does it go? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, like that. I mean, it opens out like a Fibonacci series. It's really very, very cool. And it rises to this really powerful climax, and then it reverses itself and goes backwards and upside down, back to the end and all that. It's just amazing, really amazing. The second movement is in sonata form, as I pointed out, with 2 very distinct themes. It's all based on the fugue theme, like that, which is a quick, speeded up version of the fugue. And then the slow movement, the terrifying slow movement, was used in The Shining. Yeah, I mean, the whole piece was used in The Shining, actually, wasn't it? Or some bits of it. Anyway, it was used in The Shining, and it's very spooky when, like, blood's pouring down the walls of the elevators and whatnot. And it has separate sections which are separated by statements of the fugue theme. And then in the finale, you've got the fugue theme played in inversion. Da-dum, ba-da, da-da-da-dum, ba-da, da-da-da-dum. Instead of going do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, it goes do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, like this. And it's in diatonic rather than chromatic intervals. In other words, more or less whole steps rather than half steps. And so it sounds cheerful. It is, of course, a Hungarian dance. There's several dance tunes within the framework of the piece, because it's a rondo and the episodes have dance things, and then the diatonic version of the fugue theme returns at the very end. I mean, really, it's the more you listen to it, the more fascinating it becomes. And then there's, of course, the scoring itself for double strings and percussion and celesta, and that stuff. It's wow, amazing. It's been recorded a bazillion times, often rather unsuccessfully. The problem is timing. As usual, Bartók wrote these things to be timed very, very specifically. He actually indicated how many seconds each section of each movement would take. He never expected anybody to follow those timings literally. You really don't have to, although Fritz Reiner actually almost did. I think he practically got there. But you're better off paying attention to them than not most of the time. That is, there's a temptation to take the whole thing much too slowly. It's got to have real bite which isn't always easy when you're playing with strings alone. It's got to have an intensity of rhythm. And so actually, the number of really great recordings is not all that large. But this one is certainly one of them, and I wanted to draw it to your attention since it may be a little hard to spot or hard to find. Here it is, the Budapest Festival Orchestra with Iván Fischer and Zoltán Kocsis himself playing the piano part, which is like amazing. This is an extraordinary performance, fabulously well recorded. It was on Philips. It's now on Decca. And I remember first hearing it, it was part of a box set of Kocsis doing the Bartók piano concertos with other things, all the music for piano and orchestra, which is more than just the 3 piano concertos. There's the scherzo for piano and orchestra. There's a couple other things. And this was in there. And it was amazing because it would have been a very long time since I heard a really, really fabulous modern recording. Digital sound, but very, very good sound. And, oh, wow, that was just phenomenal. And it was on they were released as individual discs also. And I really think it's kind of hard to find this thing. I was desperately looking for it on CD, and it took forever. Took forever to find it because, Decca made no effort to keep the thing in print, as usual. The best performances vanish, poof, gone, and then you're stuck. So I found this, and I treasure it. It's an old CD. Notice how you can tell it's old because the center thing is not plastic. It was metal all the way through. That's how it's like a first generation CD. God, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It's in the Kocsis box, actually, thank God, which I have sitting up there, the big box of Zoltán Kocsis stuff. But, it really should never have been out of print because it is a perfectly balanced, beautiful disc. One of the ways you could tell you're going to have a great performance, or you're more likely to, is by looking at timings, believe it or not. Not that they're Bartók's timings, but that the timings of all 4 movements are roughly equivalent and less than 8 minutes. Then you're in great shape. So here we've got 7:22, 7:30, 7:24, 7:01. That's a very good sign. And so it proves. So, if you're interested in this work, and you really should be, give it a chance to sink in and get to know it. It's one of the masterpieces of the 20th century literature. And you will find this performance to be stunning. Absolutely. There are a few others. The first Schulte one with the LSO is great. Neville Mariner's was great. Carillon's stereo one is great. Slow, but it's great. And of course Fritz Reiner that I already mentioned on RCA. There are a bunch, a handful. A handful. Dochnani in Cleveland too, amazing. But this one is really special. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.